Hello, my stunning, beautiful, gorgeous, handsome darlings. How y'all doing today? You look fabulous. Today, we are going to be reading Chapter 3 of Curiosity. We left off Chapter 2 with Zim helping Dib with his homework. But Dib now has some serious questions for Zim. So let's see what those may be, okay? Alrighty, let's get started. Then the real talk started. Zim just went on and on about Red, making him sound like the coolest guy ever. Dib kept accidentally typing what Zim was saying into the computer. Several times he had to erase paragraphs of words because it was just Zim obsessing over Red. He just went on and on, running his mouth for hours, and all Dib heard was, "He's amazing," and "You should meet him." Dib finally got irritated to the point where he blurted out, "If you like him that much, why don't you just ask him out on a date? It's better than bugging me about someone I don't even care about. He's not that cool." Zim didn't know how to respond for a moment. He just called someone who was a god in his eyes not even cool. He paused for a moment, and Dib waited for Zim to say something. When he found out he was going to stay silent for a moment, Dib continued working on the computer. After a minute, his piece was interrupted by Zim saying, "You don't know because you've never met him." Dib looked up from the screen in doubt of Zim's comment. "Here's the deal. I'll shut up about him if you meet him tomorrow. Okay?" He said about sticking out his arm for Dib to shake. Dib hesitated, as he knew Red wouldn't want to see him after the dodgeball game. Then again, he could meet an ally that may help him repair the ship. Dib grabbed Zim's hand and shook it. Zim smiles and says, "Guess we have a deal." Oh, sorry, I'm a little out of breath, I don't know why. Okay. Zim looked at his watch and was surprised. "Wow, I've already been here for a long time. I've got to head home before my parents get ready to call the cops. They both got out of work 5 minutes ago," he started. He picked up his papers and put them in his backpack. Next, he took Gur from Gaz and stumbled out the door, trying not to fall because of Gur's weight. Zim was a weak and frail man, so the fact that his dog would seem so heavy to him made sense. Dib walked close to the doors and tripped on something. It was a wrench. How in the world did that get there? Dib flipped over to see the name Zim engraved into it. Dib could give the wrench back to Zim tomorrow at school, but he didn't feel like it. Zim didn't leave just the wrench, but a paper as well. Specifically, his report on substances. Dib decided to use the information to explain substances. However, he did not have any examples to give to the tallists. So, what would be the point? However, Dib was still interested in what data the report held. He read most of each substance's description, going over every detail, including its texture, taste, and its locations. Dib read over each word that told him where to find them. First, he took a short walk to the park. He counted all the different animals he saw, like the frogs there. He would also occasionally check his surroundings for people, as he had the urge to use his pack legs. However, he was unsure if it would cause suspicion, so he kept them hidden in the park. After all, no human has any knowledge of technology or engineering, so they try to take them away to use for themselves. That'd either make them take off his pack by accident, or they'd see it's attached to him and know he's an alien. After the walk, he found a fountain near the park. Interesting, Dib thought. He wrote notes in his notebook. This specimen has sources on where where their drinks come from. Despite the small coins in the fountain, there were other things in it too. A few small kids were in it, splashing around and collecting other people's coins from the bottom. They were little grotesque girls, each one up to Dib's knees. They had this coat of disgusting substances around them, like any other kind. They seemed to be about 4 or 5, so their parents must be around. Dib knew he couldn't tell the kids to get out because of that, so he just get the water and go back to the base. After all, he didn't care about the money being stolen. He walked up to the fountain with a small sample container and the kids stared at him as he scooped the water from the opposing side of the fountain, making sure he doesn't look like a creep. He turned around to walk back, but the kids had gotten out of the fountain to talk to him. One of the girls tugged on his trench coat, almost trying to rip it. "Excuse me, but your head is very big. It looks weird, freak," she said in a bratty tone. Dib turned around to see her with a disgusted look on her face. He just wanted to walk away, but her grip on his jacket was pretty strong for a kid. It may tear it, and he wouldn't want that. She gripped the pocket from the inside and was tugging the pocket with the sample of water inside. She tore it open. If she tore it open, it would fall out and the container would break. He left the rest at home, so he'd have to take the walk again. So he turned his head a little, just so she could see his face and know he heard her. "My head is not big, and I can assure you I'm a normal human being, just like you. Now, where are your parents, young human?" he asked. She turned around to look at a distant place, and so did the rest. When they turned back around, he was gone, and he had ran away with the packed legs he didn't want to use earlier. He ran for a few miles until he had gotten to the end of the way home. He hoped that nobody saw him use his legs, so he quickly went into the base. Inside, Gaz was sitting on the couch, eating snacks and playing with the game supply that the tallest sent her to avoid being bored. She was forced to go to Earth, so why not send her something to do there? "Have you calmed down about your fight with Zim?" she asked. Surprisingly, he had calmed down. In fact, the walk to the fountain did help him relax a little. However, he almost caused suspicion of him being an alien, so he felt a bit worried. Dib sprinted home with the pack legs, unsure if anyone was looking. There could have been a few witnesses, but he did calm down after the sprint. Dib nodded and Gaz went back to her game. Dib climbed into the trash can as he was taken to the lab. There, he got set up with the transmission with the tallest to give water samples. He got the delivery device ready, and the transmission was accepted. The tallest membrane stood there in the massive, waiting patiently for Dib to explain his reason to call. "Father, I have received a sample for this earth substance called water. It's almost everywhere, in everything. According to this paper," Dib lifted up Zim's report and read aloud. "3/4 of Earth is water," Dib finished. Dib placed the water sample cup in the delivery device for tallest membrane to sample. Tallest membrane inspected the container and looked back at Dib. "Is this safe?" he asked. Dib shrugged and membrane spoke to the Urkins. "Go get some random Urkin for testing," he commanded. In a few minutes, a tall Urkin with a headband and a curly antennae walked into the room. He was a little scared, but tried to look tough. The tallest gave him the container and was told to drink it. As he did as told and immediately started burning from the inside. He screamed the most ear-piercing screams you could ever hear from an Urkin. The scientist Urkins wrote it down and hung up. well, that's where chapter 3 is left off. I suppose Dib will not be getting any water for himself anytime soon. If you enjoyed me reading chapter 3, please give this video a like and comment if you feel so obliged. I do love reading comments. So that's it. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!